So here's something I've wanted to experiment with for a while now. I picked up a 25-pound bag of hulled barley kernels. There are varieties of barley that are hull-less, and they grow just like wheat, and they separate from the husks when you thresh them. But this one has actually been mechanically separated from its husk. So the problem with that is you get a lot of little broken pieces in there. Now half of those will still sprout, but you have all these other ends that may go moldy or will just be sort of sitting there as raw barley. When you're brewing with this, you're going to need a lot of rice hulls because it's just basically like brewing with wheat. It's going to just create a big gummy mess. So you have to fill it up full of some kind of fiber or something to act as a filter. Now, what you can also do with this is create debittered roasted malts. So anything that says debittered on it is basically made with hullless barley. A lot of that bitter flavor is actually from the husk. So when that's gone, you get a lot more of a mellow roasted flavor. So I'm going to try and make some of that as well with this. And we'll see what kind of germination rate I get with this first. So it's just steeping right now. Again, just like the wheat, it's going to absorb water a lot faster. So I might only have to do one steep of 8 hours and maybe one other steep of a few hours or so. Okay, this hulless barley's been germinating for 5 days now. And the acre spires are quite long. Some of them have grown a little bit too long, but that's all right. I've achieved about an 80% germination rate with this stuff, but the grains that did not germinate are actually looking okay. They're not moldy, they're a similar color, and it still has a nice fresh smell to it, sort of like cut grass or watermelon. I'm going to let this wilt for 24 hours. And by doing that, I'm going to allow the enzymes to continue to develop while the growth is actually stopping. So I've just got it on a tray and I'll put a fan on it and let it dry out. So I just put it in my kiln with the fan on without heat. And look at that, I'm just slightly over 3 pounds, 3 pounds and a half an ounce. So that's back down to its 10% moisture content right now. So I can go ahead and start curing this. I'm going to be making a debittered black patent malt. The problem with this batch is that there was an 80% germination rate, and that means there's 20% that has not malted, and it's just raw barley. So what I'm going to be getting is sort of a mix of 80% debittered black malt and 20% debittered roasted barley, which is fine. Should be interesting. Most regular barley has about a 95% germination rate or higher, so there's still a small percentage of raw barley in there. But I think 20% probably notice a difference in the flavor. This is 1 pound I've got on a tray, and I'm going to be roasting it at 375 for, well, we'll see. It gets pretty smoky, so I'll go as long as I can before the neighbors call the fire department. What I like to do is just put another tray on top. That way it sort of keeps the heat in and keeps the heat sort of even from the top and the bottom. Otherwise, a great idea is to use like a rotisserie or something where your grain is constantly moving. A lot of barbecues have rotisseries. You can sort of rig up like a can or something on the rotisserie and put your grain in there. But I'm going to do it in the oven and see how dark I can get it. Just checking to see if it's charred all the way through. And it is. It's black. Got a nice sweetness to it. Okay, it's done. It's had an hour at 375 and half an hour at 450. Not as much smoke as I was expecting, which is great. Here's the store-bought stuff on the right, and here's mine on the left. Grains are a lot smaller. The outside color is darker, but if you bite into one of the store-bought ones, it's actually quite black on the inside. This has got a nice roasty flavor. It's a little bit of sweetness in there. Store-bought stuff, I bought it a month ago. Just tastes stale. Here's mine. I don't know why I did this. I just thought you'd be able to see some color difference, but obviously you can't. They're just totally black. This is mine. This is the Carafa 2. Is that Wireman, I think? And this is a Debittered black malt. pH for mine was 4.75. For the Carafa 2, it was 4.9, and then Debittered black was 4.8. So mine's slightly more acidic than both of these, but I'm telling you, it tastes way, way better. And people often ask me, well, how long should I wait before I can use it? The malt, that is. There seems to be a lot of literature that says you have to leave the malt out or to rest for a month before you can use it. I've been using mine right after roasting. In fact, sometimes I roast it the night before the brew day, so it's just ready to go, because you just get this fresh roasted flavor that's full-bodied. These right now taste like cardboard. I even got my wife to smell them, and I said, okay, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? And instantly she said, cardboard. They're just stale as f***. Whereas this tastes like coffee and chocolate. I kid you not, this tastes so good. If you're like me, you get a lot of extra grain, and it sort of gets stored in a big bin in the basement, and you pull it out on brew days. Oh, what do I have? I'm going to use this. And by the time that happens, it could be a month old, like this stuff, or it could be even older. And who knows how long or how old it is once it gets to the store. This one took an hour and a half, 1 hour at 375 and half an hour at 450. Now, if I wanted something more like the Carafa 2, I would have done this at 450 for 15 minutes. I was checking the grain throughout the process and biting into it, and at the 15-minute mark at 450, it was not quite black throughout, and neither is the Carafa 2. You know, the color is just a very dark brown inside, whereas the black patent is totally black. So that's why I kept roasting it for another 15 minutes until all the grains on the inside were totally black and had that nice charry look to them. Debittered black patent malt made with hulled barley.